We welcome now Caleb Sailors, Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News. All right, Caleb, we got ourselves a budget here in Mississippi.
Did we? We got something done yesterday. My goodness. I know the House was in session for an eternity 2 nights ago. I think they left at like 1 in the morning. I was at the grocery store at one point on Tuesday night, and I thought about, or Wednesday night, and I thought about driving by the Capitol and seeing how it was going up there. And I was like, I'll let them handle it, as the demon chipmunk, as they call it, was reading all the appropriations bills. But yeah, we have ourselves a budget after infighting between the Republicans in both chambers during the regular session. I know some of that has spilled over into now, and I'm sure tensions aren't entirely remedied, but we do have a budget. And despite the Democratic Party saying they were kind of left in the dark on this legislation and on what the budget would look like, we have one, and the governor's going to sign it. I know. Before I get into the specifics of the money that'll be allocated in this budget, this $7.135 billion budget that lawmakers are calling conservative, before I get into the specifics of that, I will note that there were some concerns that there might be a holdup for Medicaid funding in the legislation, but Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann has assured us that he's had conversations with Governor Tate Reeves and that all of that will be remedied, so there won't be any threat to Medicaid funding in our budget.
Yeah, this has to do with essentially reimbursing a provider who is paying taxes to participate in Medicaid, essentially. So, or not to participate in Medicaid, but paying taxes, which allows the state then to tap more federal Medicaid dollars.
Right. So, none of that's in jeopardy. We won't be in limbo of losing any Medicaid funding in Mississippi.
Like $1.2 billion potentially was at risk, right?
$900 million, upwards of that figure.
Okay.
Yeah, between $900 million, $1.2 billion. Yes,
that's real money.
A lot of money, right? Yeah. A lot of money, especially after last year we got to the goal line in Medicaid expansion talks, and then this year we're like, may not be getting any of that.
The whole program at risk.
Right. Yeah. So in this budget, Gerard, we see that the lump sum of it, $3.34 billion, is going to K through 12 education, and that's actually a little bit of a decrease from last year. Last year, we overfunded education, partially because of the new education funding formula, and for the most part, our state agencies will be funded at the same level. Some slight variations, no more than 1% or 2%, one way or the other. We see that $969.9 million is going to Medicaid, and all that money will be going to Medicaid. None of that's at risk. $838.4 million to public universities, and that's been a huge topic of conversation as our public universities getting funded, especially with looking at how the federal government is going to be funding different entities. Even if we look at the K through 12 schools in Mississippi too, how the Department of Education will be funded here, at risk of losing some of those federal dollars. $438.2 million to corrections, $299.4 million to community colleges. And that's pretty much a sum of the major money from the bill. Now, we see that, the Department of Environmental Quality, all the way down to other departments that do major things, right? Like we need MDEQ for these mega sites we've been developing in Mississippi, like Cinco that was just announced by the Golden Triangle. That's a very necessary function of government, and all of those will be funded. We've met the June 30th deadline, and so now the dog whistling that state agencies won't be funded is all drowned.
Yeah. Okay. So there we go. We got it, and I guess we'll hang on to see what happens next year.
What happens next year? I do know that Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann and Speaker of the House Jason White, not jointly, separately, will be holding press conferences today, I believe at noon, for both of them, too, to kind of outline what happened this past session, what happened in the special session, and where they're going to put their priorities next year. Now, I will say, Gerard, I was a little bit pleasantly surprised that the governor didn't add any items to the agenda for the special session on top of the budget. Because, he had floated out the possibility for, school choice, local sports betting, some of these other hot topic issues in Mississippi to possibly be in the special session. But I think he heard enough public outcry that, hey, we're spending $100,000 a day for y'all to be in gavelled in Jackson. Well, let's be, if you're going to talk about being conservative with the budget, let's also be conservative with how we spend taxpayer dollars on having people in in overtime, right? And so none of those other items were addressed in the special session, and so they got the budget passed, and they were there a very minimal amount of time. I was kind of shocked that they were there, such a short stint of time. But I guess one thing we'll talk about in just a second, I guess a lot of these lawmakers were wanting to get back to their respective hometowns or maybe college towns to watch some baseball this weekend.
Yeah.
So they got the budget done, and now it's time for the next biggest thing, most important thing in the state this week, and that's college baseball, Gerard. We've got regional play in Mississippi this year, and for the first time since 2021, Ole Miss will be hosting a regional. Tonight, the Rebels will take on Murray State at Swayze Field at 7 p.m., so if y'all are in the Oxford area and you haven't paid for an expensive ticket, go ahead and get one now. Come out and watch the game. We do know Riley Maddox, Ole Miss's Saturday guy, will be on the mound today. They're going to preserve Hunter Elliott for tomorrow's matchup. Whether the Rebels play Western Kentucky or Georgia Tech, we'll find that out tonight. But the Rebels will be playing a tough Murray State club. And look, this is a familiar opponent for the Rebels. The Rebels played Murray State earlier this year in the midweek, and look, they had to walk it off in the 10th inning, extra innings. Heroics by Will Furness pushed the Rebels to that victory, but Riley Maddox, who's been really solid, especially in the back half of SEC play and had good showings in the SEC tournament, has looked the part of a Saturday pitcher, will look to keep the Rebels, in line to win. And if the bats are hot enough, the Rebels can carry a win and stay on the winner's side of the bracket and try to get out of this regional. And then in Hattiesburg, Southern Miss, after 9 straight 40-plus win seasons, which that's incredible, Gerard. Imagine winning 40 wins 9 straight years. That's the longest active streak in the NCAA. Golden Eagles will take on, they're the number 1 seed, they're the host. They'll take on Columbia, a good club in Columbia. Not as good as the Golden Eagles, but good, from Pete Taylor Park, 6 p.m. And that place is going to be packed out and rowdy. It's a fun ballpark to go to a game. Matt Adams, Southern Miss's Saturday guy, will be on the mound tonight. Christian Ostrander, the Golden Eagles head coach, he normally pitches straight up. Ben Milam and I were talking about that before I came on, but he's not going. He's going to hold J.B. Middleton, who won the Ferris Trophy this year, one of the top pitchers in the country. He's going to hold him for tomorrow's matchup, whether the Golden Eagles play Alabama or Miami, but they're going to go with Matt Adams tonight. So, who's been stellar. Matt Adams helped the Golden Eagles get a run rule victory in the conference tournament last weekend, and so he'll be their guy tonight. And then Mississippi State is back in the postseason. Look, they fired Chris Lemonis earlier in the season, and Justin Parker, the pitching coach, took over, and they've been hotter than a firecracker until they got to the SEC tournament. But the Bulldogs got a tough regional to go through, Gerard. It won't be easy for the maroon and white, but they can get it done. Now, we've seen Mississippi State get hot in Tallahassee before, I think about 2018 when they went through Tallahassee to get to Omaha. But the Bulldogs will take on Northeastern tonight at 6:30 p.m., and I'll tell you what, Northeastern, Gerard, if you haven't looked at them, they have the most wins of any team in the country, 48 wins this year, and have the longest winning streak. They have won 27 games in a row. This is a legitimate club the Bulldogs are taking on tonight. And Mississippi State decided not to go with their ace, Pico Khan, or Evan Sierra, their other Saturday guy. They're going with Ben Davis tonight on the mound. And so plenty of college baseball action in Mississippi.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So if you want to track all the baseball action you got in Mississippi, you got 3 teams teeing up postseason play.
And then Ole Miss will be in the softball team is in
That's
the
true.
College World Series, and they'll play tonight at 6:30. Look, the Rebels were valiant last night and fought hard, but this pitcher, Najiri Kennedy for Texas Tech, is probably the best pitcher in the country, best pitcher in the world, making over $1 million in NIL softball. Yeah, was personally recruited by Patrick Mahomes to
throws at 80.
Right, which is 100 and something in baseball
from
speed.
46 feet.
Right. Ole Miss didn't get a hit on her until the 5th inning or 6th inning last night. I mean,
that was a guess.
Oh, she was incredible. Oh yeah. Well, they got back-to-back hits, and the announcers were perplexed. They were like, "What the heck is going on here?"
And swinging.
Now, I will say, on the other side of the mound, the Rebels pitcher last night, Aaliyah, she was awesome.
Sure did.
She went 6 complete, only gave up 4 hits, and the 1 run was scored on a throwing error. I mean, her efforts were marvelous last night. It's just the team came up short, but they'll take on Oregon tonight. So if y'all are into softball, keep up with the Lady Rebels and see if they can make a run in the College World Series.
Yeah. All right, man. Great rundown there, Caleb. Appreciate you coming in. Yep, no doubt. But it's baseball postseason.
Baseball season. And y'all, I will be in Oxford tonight. Y'all can keep up with my coverage at SuperTalk.fm and on Twitter.
Super. All right, Caleb. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Gerard.
Yep, coming right back in the Element Well.